Here's what I have to address first. When I go into a different facility, they sometimes have different goals. And I just want to make sure, because Stephen and I had one phone call to set this up. It was very succinct. And I just want to make sure that we're sort of on the same page. You've had some of the techniques that I use just thrown at you probably in sessions by students. When I teach table tie, it's often not just a specific sequence. If you look at my table tie workbook and the videos that go with that, there's a prone, supine, and a side-lying sequence. It's a Frankenstein. And the reason it's a Frankenstein is because essentially I'm just taking the mat-based Thai massage that you can do on a table and stitching it together. When I teach the class, here's what is Patrick? Travis. Oh, okay. Interesting. It was close. I don't know how to pick that up. Travis. Okay. When therapists like Travis go into session, clients aren't coming in usually and asking for a full table tie session. In fact, clients probably don't even know what that is. If you say table tie, would clients here know what that is?
A couple of mine, yeah.
And it depends on what they've had exposure to, a lot of different issues. I had someone, I can't remember who I was talking to, they said, oh, I know what it was. They said they gave a client Thai massage. The client specifically asked for Thai massage. And then after they had Thai massage with the student, they said that was nothing like the Thai massage they had previously. And they're like, I loved it. It was amazing. It was actually much better. But the Thai massage they'd had previously, the person had them take their clothes off, and there was like lots of drape and glide and very little mobilization. There's no quality control over what Thai massage is. You see what I mean? That's part of the reason I'm trademarking and moving towards like that kind of quality control, because I can use that to say, listen, if you're going to call it what I call it, you have to meet certain criteria. Does that make sense? For what you guys need, I'm assuming, Stephen, that they're going to need stuff they can just throw into their sessions they're already doing on a table, correct? And that is what we're going to cover. I often in class will ask the therapist what they're having challenges with, and then we'll just kind of riff off of that. I could easily spend a week here just covering the stuff on the table, but I limit myself normally. Table tie is only 2 days because that's all I can stand to be on this device. In my sessions, you have to understand this. My sessions are 3 hours long. They're completely mat-based. My clients do not undress. I rarely use oil. So no table, no cream, no glide, no nudity. That's what people in our culture think massage is. If you take away the table, you take away the cream, you take away the glide, you take away the nudity, what is it?
Stretching means compressions.
And do you need a license to stretch people? I've been telling massage therapists that if they do not pick up what I'm doing rapidly, the yoga community is going to start studying, and it's going to cause major regulatory problems that I have nothing to do with, because I have a license, I'm a licensed educator, I'm a yoga teacher as well, doesn't matter. There's no, in my opinion, distinct definition of what massage is, even though TLDR, too long didn't read, the Texas Department of Licensing and Registration. According to the rules, it says it's the manipulation of soft tissue. Does stretching manipulate soft tissue? Then why do they not have to have a license to stretch people? Ooh, that can get touchy real quick. So here's the challenge. When you guys work on clients, what are they coming in and asking for? What are you solving? What is the thing that they need? Pain relief?
Depends on the goal of the day.
Depends on the goal. And what is the other goal?
Relaxation.
Sometimes relaxation.
Usually that's the fork in the road. Pain relief or relaxation. I made an actual decision years ago. It's not that my sessions aren't relaxing. I focused on pain relief. That was what I needed when I went to massage school and what I kept focusing on. It's what I had the largest heart resonance for when dealing with clients who were in chronic pain. That was what I focused on. Relaxation is not a bad goal, especially if that's what they're coming in for. I think relaxation is possibly a little bit harder to market. It's a little bit more challenging because somebody could go to a large corporate entity known as Massage Envy. Oh, we had a over here. Does Massage Envy charge less per hour than you do here at Oak Haven? I don't know what the...
They vary depending on region.
Yeah.
Because they can be privately
They
owned.
have a membership though.
Okay.
Yes.
So here's what I see. To a consumer, this is what the challenge is, and this is where there's some kind of press back a bit. Like I'm forming a brand long term. I'm trying to be the Nike of massage and body work. And basically say, yeah, you can't even compete because nobody's even offering what I'm doing. The problem is if they can go to Massage Envy and get a massage, and they used to be able to go to Massage Harmony and get a massage, and they can go to Oak Haven and get a massage, what's the difference?
Quality.
Quality,
Consistent
really?
Quality.
Consistent quality.
That sounds
If
like-
we're comparing to massage Envy,
That sounds like
yeah.
Massage Envy to me.
Everyone here's a good.
I mean, I saw an ad on my Facebook, Zeal. It's
I
the
hear what
most
you're saying.
the trusted authority in massage, or the most trusted deliverer massage, or something like that. It was like floating through my screen. Zeal. Right? To a consumer, does a consumer think there's a difference between a Honda, a Chrysler, and a Mitsubishi? They're brands. They're brands. How many of you wouldn't be caught dead driving a Ford?
As long as I have a car.
I don't
okay.
like Fords. I had a Ford Tempo in college that was just horrible. And I don't know if it's because I'm just not a good mechanic or whatever, but I just hate it. I love Hondas. Just love Hondas. I'd probably drive a Honda from here till the end of time just because I like them. Because I've picked a brand. The branding game is extremely important, and here's the problem. If you go get a sandwich, where do you go?
PDQ. Even if it's technically perfect.
What is it?
PDQ.
PDQ?
How to say it.
Do you go to Subway or Quiznos?
Subway. Where's their
Where is their
Thundercloud.
Quiznos?
Thundercloud. Why do you go to Thundercloud?
It's close by.
Oh, it's local. Do Austinites care about local business?
They used to.
Ooh.
I was going to say yes, but I like your answer.
Here's the thing. I think very quickly, Stephen, I have to assume what's going on here based on the other trainings that I give. Each facility is going to be kind of different in their goals and their structure and how things are set up. I have no way of knowing those things at any given time. In other words, each facility I work in is going to have a different setup, different rules, different parameters, and I have to work with that to get them to package it. I think if you take pieces of what I do and blend 10 to 15% into your sessions, you're going to stand out like a complete sore thumb in the Austin area. When I started years ago, I could not get a job doing Thai massage. The people that I worked for would actively block me at every turn. But when I kept blending it on the table and I didn't call it Thai massage, they walked up to the front and went, the dude, whatever the dude's name is with the stretching stuff, I got to have that again. And then it started to shift. But it started to shift when I didn't call it Thai massage. Because they didn't know what Thai massage was. Thai massage wasn't a brand. It didn't have a loaded frame of reference for them. So for instance, as massage therapists, what do we think of orthopedic massage? Good or bad?
It's good stuff.
Good stuff. What do we think of Thai massage?
It's great.
Had it several times.
I don't know. Don't even know what it is. Now, are orthopedic massage and Thai massage considered on the same level as far as therapeutic outcomes?
Probably not.
Why?
Easily recognizable versus what is this?
No.
See? Branding. Modalities in the massage industry is a failed brand. I do not like the word modality. When people call what I do a modality, or Thai massage is a modality, or orthopedic is a modality, I don't like that because it doesn't seem to frame what's actually going on. What tends to happen in the industry is therapists go to school, they go through, in Texas, a 500-hour training program, and then a modality is a tack-on service. So what I do is come in and have to deprogram you like a cult leader and go, why do we work on tables at all? And I mean that as a literal question. Why do we work on tables?
That's what people expect.
respect all of them.
Ah.
That's what they've been trained to know what massage is.
Because it's what we were trained in as well. Like when I went to massage school, I learned Swedish and deep tissue first. I worked for about a year before like Thai massage stumbled in my face. Once I started studying with my teacher, I went, okay, yeah, 2 years. This will take over the entire massage industry. Like I've been teaching now for 10 years and like a practitioner for 17, I think. That still has not happened. And I'm in Austin like, rally cry. At the same time that I'm inside the massage industry trying to pull massage therapists in as fast as possible, stretch lab, stretch motion, stretch facilities. And I'm going, wait a second, you don't have to have a what? Because everybody thinks Thai massage is stretching, right? If you'd ask clients who've had Thai massage previously, what do they think it is? Or what makes it stand out compared to the other work they've had previously? Stretching, that's always what they'll focus on. Stretching is also what we focus on Instagram. It's also why all of yoga on Instagram looks like contortion. And unless you can do a handstand and put your head on your feet on your head, like people don't pay attention to it, right? Because me just doing triangle pose isn't very physically impressive, right? The same thing happens to Thai massage because from the outside, people want contortion. 80% plus of my practice is compression. Now, how amazing looking is compression? And you laugh. But here's the thing, if somebody has a horrible issue, some sort of horrible back pain, or they've got carpal tunnel issues or some other, malady, I'm usually not going to be able to stretch that away. And even that notion is just absurd to me for all the time I've worked. But I can use pressure, sustained skin stretch to hang out and help them very quickly. People would come to the Thai massage jam and massage therapists would freak out and go, dude, I don't even understand what you're doing. And I'm like, I know. And it's why I keep running around with the camera, recording everything as rapidly as possible and trying to put it out. You took intro and table Thai. You took intro Thai and you've had a session with me and then you came to the jam. What did you think of the Thai massage jam?
Yeah, it was cool, and it's just a bunch of people just doing what they know.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
just working in a community setting. As I continue to work with people, I just try to find new ways to educate. The way that I deal with education is to just go straight to the source. That's Travis, not Patrick, but Patrick is his middle name, so I got lucky. I need to give you stuff you guys can use. One, I want to know what you physically are having issues with, if you're having any issues with your body continuously from doing work. And then secondly, I want to know what the clients are primarily complaining about so we can address that first. So what are you guys having issues with?
Arms and hands.
Forearms, low back.
Yeah.
Low back and glute. Wrists.
Low back, hips.
Shoulders.
Subscap.
I heard hands and arms first, and that's pretty easy. Are the clients come in and complaining about their hands and arms?
Not
Yeah.
as many.
Tenth
Not
of
as
the
many,
time.
but yeah.
So I heard not as many, and then what?
Like a tenth of the time.
Tenth of the time?
Mine anyway.
A lot of low back? Okay. And we're going to cover a little bit of each of these, like very quickly today. Did you guys want to start on like hands and arms and then like talk about that just a little bit? Yes? Sure. I mean, we'll get to the other stuff really rapidly. I'm just getting a starting point. So my question is this. When I had the phone call with you, we had talked about like drape and glide. I don't typically deal with that at all. I've had students who are like colleagues who work with me argue about this, and they want me to change my curriculum to add more cream and glide nudity. And I'm like, why? That's not even remotely. She's like, well, it's more amenable to the... I'm like, no. Why? Why? Like, they're making me work on tables to begin with. Here's another question. Can they get on the table?
What do you mean, like
Like
stand on it
standing.
and stuff? Or
Like, can we get on
At Massage Envy, it is...
Therapists get on the table?
Yeah. It is against corporate policy. And this is why I asked, because Stephen is here. It is against corporate policy at Massage Envy. You have to have 1 foot on the floor at all times. That is their corporate policy.
But we don't have massage police in the
No. I know you don't, but here's the
We don't
thing.
have a policy about it. What we do is go by
I'd be
common
fired.
sense, and what I will tell
Yes.
people is don't be climbing on people. We actually don't address this
Yeah.
very much. But I would, if I did address it, I would say, don't be climbing on people unless you've developed rapport with them. I would not do that the first time you meet somebody.
Yes. And Stephen addresses this. You're also a chiropractor, right? Okay. He addresses this as a knowledgeable professional who probably started many years ago, even before I did, and he's a guy. So if you're, what is your name, by the way?
Shelby.
Shelby. Shelby, if you'd never had a session with me before and you came in for your massage and I just jumped up on the table and was on top of you, how would you feel about that?
I would feel uncomfortable if it wasn't discussed prior.
Yeah. And the thing is, you just have to understand cultural context. And the reason I ask that is in some facilities, they'll say, no, do not. And I'm like, okay. So I have to show them the 1 foot on the floor options. These tables typically are much more sturdy than the ones you have to adjust by hand. They give you a lot more options for being on the table. And then, is this as low as this table goes?
No, it'll go on.
It'll go down lower? Okay. So that gives us way more options. These tables, if you're going to use tables, are definitely my choice. The reason I like working on a mat is my table is much bigger. The reason I like working on my mat is because I can mobilize the person and there's nowhere to fall. And if I need pressure, I stand on them and I use suspension so I can sit in the thing and use my feet and do this. How's that? Right there? Okay, cool. Yeah, this is hard work, right? It changes the physics. Changing some of the physics will change the outcomes. If I used extreme pressure with my elbow, how does that feel?
Sure.
Now, if I use extreme pressure with my knee, how does that feel? If my foot, big, broad, whole foot, how's it feel? Once we get to this stage, most consumers have never felt the sort of pressure I'm delivering because I'm often delivering multiple points of contact, and the compressions in my case can be double-footed. How broad is two big, broad, arched, across the bottoms of your feet?
Yummy.
I can stand on half of your hamstring. It's broad. They receive that pressure differently. I find that they relax, release, and unwind more rapidly. What I'm going to wind up doing is I'm going to take you talked about you having issues with your hands. I'm going to take you off of your hands extremely rapidly. I'm going to try to drop your center of gravity and allow you to use your legs and feet more in your table session. In the massage you're already doing, and you do not have to tell the client anything, address the client. If you decided to fully get on the table, we'll talk about how that's going to happen. But you're going to start kind of more conservative, and we're going to build up really rapidly. When you guys are having problems with your hands, what's the issue? Working too hard. Why are you even working? Let's hang out for a living. I promise it's possible. So is it from compression? Okay. Now, how much time do you spend tractioning? Zero. Because you got to press on people, right? So when people are having problems with their hands and arms, if you're having repetitive strain, repetitive stress from like compression, like how would you guys address dealing with the hand and wrist if this joint in particular is just being compressed regularly? Because I have pretty delicate wrists. This has happened to me repeatedly working as a therapist.
Forearms. Detail work.
Forearms.
Potentially.
Forearms. And we're using this stuff all the time. So grab onto your forearms. And you guys know this, but you feel all that? This is what they're using all the time. And here's the issue. Is it the extensors or the flexors that's the problem?
Usually flexors.
Usually flexors, but
Sometimes you don't.
And I have some questions about this. I actually bring this up in class because I'm waiting for that one student to pop up and give me an answer because they've studied with somebody else or know something. I think that the flexors are the issue because we're always grasping. Have we ever seen somebody that their extensors are so long, they are so strong, I can't even close my hand. Like their flexors are weak. And it's a joke, right? So on people who have problems with their upper back and neck, what's the issue? Are their extensors so strong that they don't know how to slouch? It's almost like a joke, right? It's always that this is so tight in the front, they're stuck like this, which does weird things to their neck and cervical spine. Who of you has issues with your hands in particular?
Pick one.
You want to come over, Jesse? Yeah. Come on over to this table. Just lay down on your back right here. And then do you have more problems with the right side or the left side?
They're about equal.
About equal? Okay. And then when you do work, like everybody works a little bit different. Sometimes people's training can be a little bit different than what I've had previously. Are clients having you do a lot of like deep tissue with your hands and thumbs?
Just depending on what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Like
Are they
a lot of neck stuff?
Are they amenable to like you using your forearm and
Oh, yeah,
elbow?
I can-
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
And if you're doing neck stuff, totally appropriate. I love doing neck work with my hands and fingers because it's just such a detailed area. It takes a little bit more finesse for me to put a knee in somebody's neck.
Jesse hangs from bars also.
I do, yeah.
Here?
I do the ashiatsu.
You have ashu bars
So
here?
I'm gripping when I'm doing
Oh, okay.
ashiatsu, and I'm also doing a lot of neck.
The ashi part, biomechanically, I'm not as familiar with. It does some of the same things where it stacks body weight on top, but then like the way you're holding your shoulders and then your hands and wrists, I'm not as familiar with. And I haven't worked with enough ashi therapists to like have long conversations about that. But hands and arms, compression. A lot of people I find they're having problems with the flexors. They tend to be stronger and tightened. How many people come in and ask for you to work on this part of their arm?
Not a lot.
Never.
Shit.
Well, you do, but you're a massage therapist. Why do the clients not come in and ask for you to work on this?
Because that's not what
They
they feel
don't.
their pain.
Aha. And where do they feel the pain?
The pain is not.
So, and this is actually a question for Steven because his knowledge base as a chiropractor is higher grade than mine. So what I'm finding is trigger point therapy as a modality has sort of fallen out of favor. And what I've done is to change my language and I say referred pain. And everybody seems to be okay with that. And I'm like, okay, we'll call it referred pain. I mean, it's still trigger point therapy to me, but whatever works. So here's the issue. Why are people having pain down here and then all of a sudden if I work these muscles it goes away?
Rubber band.
Decompressing.
That's my quick guess. It feels like alignment-wise, and this is me talking to a chiropractor who I haven't had like in-depth conversations about. It feels like the soft tissue is almost pulling and compressing and pulling on carpal bones and kind of making things a bit off. Like it's working in an odd way where the forearm flexors get tight and it's almost like compressing this. Because when I work on this very deeply, it seems to relieve that very, very quickly in ways that people are surprised by. What I tell them is, oh, people seem to have referred pain down in their hand because of their forearm flexors. I'll ask them questions about what they're dealing with, how bad the pain is, how is it on a pain scale, and I tend to direct it that way because it works better for clinical outcomes. So you want right side or left?
Your choice.
Can you scoot over to your left just a little bit? There we go. And then if I come in and work on this, my mat is very small, so I can't do this and like break off his arm, and I can't, do too much right here. I'm just getting a feel with my hands. And when you feel pain, is it like run anywhere specifically?
Yeah, it's palms and hands and fingers.
Just
and
palms
knuckles
generally?
and,
Okay. But then it's also
kind of around the wrist, all of this.
just
area.
a whole area, yeah. But see, he's like me. He has kind of delicate wrists. He's putting like a lot of body weight. No, but I
know.
compared you to me, and
It's true.
I'll, pardon my French, I'll kick your ass up and down this thing all day long. But smaller wrists, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm using 200 pounds of body weight to like lean into stuff, it's like a lot for this, right? So when I come in and work on here, you'll see that his fingers are going to start to move. I'm just getting a feel because I want to start off just a little bit lighter just to get a feel because I'm working with a new client. I haven't worked with Jesse before. We don't know each other. I sat down just because the table was so low to begin with. How does this feel through there?
You can go deeper.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah. So if I use a lot of pressure right here, what's the challenge with this end towards the wrist?
Kind of compress the carpal nerves and stuff like that.
There's not as much cushion. The musculature tapers. So this part it's not that I can't work here. It's that I want to be more delicate there. If I had a choice, I'm going to work up here, and I'm not going to get into I think they call this the antecubital space. I just use words like antecubital, make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. But it worked, didn't it? You're like, he's a medical professional. He used some Latin word I never heard. I don't even know what it means in Latin. But if I use this top portion, this is big, broad, fleshy. Now, the challenge is if I come in and do this, what's the problem with this from my standpoint?
You're creating the same problem you're trying to help.
And that is like a weird thing. Now, it doesn't mean I wouldn't start with my hands because I did, but I didn't put a lot of pressure. I didn't hang out there an extended period of time. How would the client feel if I slid off my shoe and took my foot and went, hey, how's this? How you doing? Massage. Massage. How would your clients respond if you did this?
As long as it feels good, as long as it's working.
As long as it's
It
communicated,
depends
they
on the
know what
rapport
they're
and the
expecting.
communication.
When you work
I would
on
love it.
when you work on people who are in pain, they're much more likely to come along very rapidly if you can ensure, I'm going to help you. They're not as like picky about that sort of thing. I think in our culture, just because we're on a table and he came in for massage, that can be a little awkward. How's the pressure feel, by the way?
Great.
How much strain is this? Because this is mostly what I do for a living. This is what it looks like. I drink tea. I'm going to back off. I am actually going to have my shoe off because I think it's going to work better here. But he's out to the side. You can see that little bit of therapeutic inflammation just from that. How does it feel when I let go?
It's feeling good.
Pretty good. So when I use a knee, here's the challenge. Just like when we use our hands, are we using the heel of the hand? Are we using the palm of the hand? Are we using the kind of front of the hand? Are we using the thumb? These are all options. The same thing's going to happen when you use your feet. The same thing happens when you use a knee. If I went in with a knee, maybe even at the front, right on my tibia, like right here, how sharp is this? Now, how broad is this? This is where things get complex. I think clients will respond to this better instead of me putting my foot on the table. I'm not actually going to use my knee. I'm going to use this broad part of my tib anterior. This is fleshy. This is soft right here, okay? And this is what this is going to look like. Do we have like a rag or a towel? Maybe a pillowcase? So if I came in straight on with not even the point of the tibia up here, I forget what this is called, but the actual tibia itself, how sharp is that? She's making this face like it was way too sharp, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to cushion this just to give me a little bit of a buffer. It's going to make the pressure not quite as... He's not going to respond by like tightening up from this. He's more likely to relax, release, unwind. I'm actually going to cover this just to give me a little bit of padding and cushion. I can double this up if I need to. And actually, I think I'll keep it that way for the purposes of the demonstration. And again, I'm not in the antecubital space. I'm actually right in there. And this is going to be good because you're going to see the outline of this on his arm when we're done. If you get logos, this is a good marketing tool. And Instagram.
Stamps.
Oak Haven. It's a body stamp. Hey, tattoo artists do it. We can get away with it. So right in here, big, broad side. I call this sometimes, it looks like pigeon pose. How's that right there?
It's pretty good.
Okay. Now, if I'm there, how's that?
What do you mean?
Pressure-wise.
If you're right here?
Here or here?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
This is deeper.
Mm-hmm.
What this is I'm stacking my forearm to be able to apply pressure there. Is that too much?
No.
Okay. So this is broad. This is the side of my leg. Now, does this look like massage?
Yes.
And that's the categorization. Massage as a brand has legal parameters and control about like scope of practice. It allows us to manipulate soft tissue. How's this on your arm?
It's good.
Okay, I'm going to move his hand here just a little bit. Can you do this for me? Can you close your hand into a fist? Can you roll it up towards your elbow? There you go. Can you roll the hand fingers out? Big, broad. There we go. Can you pull back against? There we go. Pin and stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Pin and stretch, right? Generally as a tool. Pin and stretch is not as cool as active isolated stretching. Anything that you can use an acronym for, massage therapists love that. ART, active release therapy. Anything you use an acronym, way more professional. Medical professionals love that as well, I think. Are you dying over here?
It's good.
Any tingles or numb in your fingertips?
A little in my palm, but not bad.
Okay. When I ask the client that, I'm letting them know that it's okay. Some people will feel tingling or numb temporarily in their fingers. If you fell asleep on your arm at night, what would happen? And if you're me, you wake up and you go, ah, just enough to like roll off of it, and then you're like, because it's almost like painful, right? When the blood flow like rushes back in. This is similar to that. You'll notice that there's been a complete like color change in his hand, but I'm not exactly working to deliver this. How does your hand and arm feel?
Like it's working. It feels.
When you say it's working, you mean the muscles are working, or it's like it feels effective?
Effective.
Okay.
It feels like the circulation is kind of getting cut off in my hand, but also just the compression feels good and the muscles are relaxing.
Okay. And it feels good. Here's the thing. If I did this and he's like, I don't like this. This hurts. And I go, oh, is it causing pain? Yeah. And he says, yeah. And I go, I'm going to back off. I'm going to use less pressure because that person needs less pressure. Now, a little old lady comes in. She's 75 years old. She has osteoporosis. Do I do this to her? Now, to Stephen and I, that's just common sense. But I just want to point that out because this isn't going to work for everyone. Somebody comes in, they're on Coumadin, they're on some sort of blood thinners. Do I want to do this? They have a history of stroke, heart disease. Hey, I had a heart attack last week. Probably not. Really deep compressions, right? You get more tingly in here?
Yeah, it is getting a little bit much.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little bit much. So very quickly, I want you guys to look at his hand. I don't want you to block the camera, but I want you to look at his hand. He's pale, right? This is essentially formed a tourniquet on his arm. As I back off, I want you to watch the color change in his hand. And do I look like I'm stressed doing this?
No.
Okay. So very slowly, I'm going to back off. So I'm going to take off my reinforcements first. And I'm going to slowly, very, very slowly. The deeper the compression, usually the slower I want to back off.
Is it like one of those towels that you put water on? And
Look at that. You see how pink it is?
Why you gotta back off slowly?
It feels like the tissue recoils. So I did that to you, and I backed off very slowly. Like, how did it feel?
Yeah, I don't know, it just felt kind of smooth and easy where, I have had deep pressure where they just come off real fast and the blood rushes real quick to the hand. It doesn't feel comfortable, it's just too sudden of a release.
It always seems like it recoils. Like if I'm using a deep pressure like that and I jump off, it's just too rapid. The tissue just feels like it for some reason. It's too much. Now, as far as your arm is concerned, see we have nice. I'm telling you, you could put Oak Haven logo right there, bro. How does it feel now when you lift it, like move it around?
A lot better.
Yeah.
Easier.
That is my bread and butter, is stuff like that. That's how I make a living. That's how I do 3-hour sessions. How long was I there for?
3 minutes.
Yeah, and if I did both arms, you're like maybe 10 to 15 minutes in just from that. Now, how does your hand actually feel? Like, were you having any problems when I started? Like, is it kind of achy or something?
Yeah, it was achy.
A little achy. How does it feel now?
It's not.
Not achy. Okay. I want you guys to try that. You kind of go through the process where you're going to use your hand and arm first. Then at this top portion, if you want to use a towel, I recommend that. Again, it's not the point on my tibia. It's not this sharp bone. It's really to the side over here. Now, would there be any difference if I came in and did this?
on your body.
And here's the thing, you guys are already using your rotator cuff and your shoulders and stabilizing through here all day. This is what I'm trying to do, is drop you out of your upper body into your lower body as much as possible. If I had the table up high like this, what's the problem with doing what I just did?
Can't use your lower weight to get the leverage you
Well, sort of. It would be easier if I dropped the table down low, and I find that clients subtly, I think sometimes they relax more the closer they are to the ground. They know they're not going to fall off the table, especially if we were using some sort of mobilization. He brought in a stack of towels. Do you guys want to try those? I'm going to walk you through it. And again, the main thing is when you apply pressure, it's over here. If for some reason your hip doesn't mobilize to allow that, it is totally fine to use your forearm, elbow, ulna with this to be able to do the same thing. We're probably going to try to work on both arms, but you may want to do the most cumbersome arm first. And yeah, if they're done with this, I can close this and put it out of the way. Did everybody give me the name, email address? Believe so?
It should be 12.
There's 11.
I just did mine at the very end. It's just my email. But I signed up on your thing last night.
So is your name in here at all?
No,
You don't give me your name?
I just gave you my email.
Can you give me your name?
Show.
You, Stephanie? Is it with a PH?
A-N-I-E.
A-N-I-E? Wagner? W-A-G-N-E-R?
It's Wagner.
Wagner.
That's the way my
That's
car
what
says it.
I was
It's
asking.
fancy.
I was gonna make the joke, but we got it. Thank you.
It's called Drew Wagner. Oh, yeah.
I don't smoke or anything, I guess I'm okay.
I've got a couple of meetings that I'll be in and out for today.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be just kind of longer.
Cool. Totally fine by me.
I remember your pictures off of whatever.
It looks good.
You ball your fist up.
How's pressure?
Perfect.
Good. What do we got?
If
You're
you're
asking-
really light like Shelby,
Okay.
how do you achieve more pressure?
Okay. You get a weighted vest. And eventually what happens is this. How much, what's your name again?
Shelby.
Shelby, how much do you weigh?
Like 120.
Okay.
Like a buck-o-five.
So this is why eventually what I do with Shelby is we get rid of the table, we give her suspension, and she stands on you. Because now she can use all 120 pounds. Now here's the thing, if you want to use your foot as well, that's probably going to allow more. It's just a guess.
So how would she?
So instead of broad arch, here's what I want. Think ball pad of the foot, right in there. There we go. And you're gonna, there you go, reinforce with the elbow. How does it feel on your back? Now, how do the clients feel about you doing this to them?
They would like it probably.
You're also gonna get more mileage, Shelby,
Yeah.
as a woman.
Yeah.
Guys are not really, they're not as,
Want to be real here.
They don't
yeah,
care.
there's a lot of cultural pieces, but I think you can get away with this easily. And she's even using the wall for support. Yeah, but give her feedback if it's too much. So, how long would you hold this?
A minute or two, or until they said change.
I'm going to communicate with them about tingle. If I was at all concerned, I'd say, listen, you might get some tingling in your fingertips whenever you start to feel that. Just kind of let me know if you feel tingling in your hand or
I
arm.
went from the color that it was turning. So when it got to that really white, like Jesse's, I was like, okay, now it's time.
What I tend to do in session is I'll put the crimp on, so to speak, put the pressure on. When I see the color change, I'll go, hey, you're probably going to feel some tingling in your fingertips. And if I do it and time it right, they're like, whoa, how did you know? But here's what happens. Because I knew what was happening, they trust me more.
Yeah.
They're not as nervous. They're like, oh, wow, this weird hippie guy actually knows what he's talking about. Because I don't come in with a medical degree, right? I will tend to hold this sometimes 3 to 5 minutes, depending. Now, coming in from this side, absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
Here's what I find. If I look at the shape, it always seems like this tapers a bit more, and when I come in from this side, and it's not wrong, it seems to be a little bit
Less effective.
so, and the thing is, here's where it gets complicated. Everybody's going to be shaped slightly differently. I usually like to come from down below.
Okay.
The other part is I can look them in the face. If I'm like this, it's like I'm also like,
You're blocking them.
it's just a subtle thing. I prefer to come in from down below, but I want to express that it's not wrong. Yeah.
But I
Slide over this side.
You as a giver, is anybody having problems getting into position? Is it feeling uncomfortable on your hip?
I
or anything?
noticed on my right hip it was a lot harder than it is on this one.
Maybe your
Like,
mobility a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of like piriformis and kind of a
That's what I
stretch
told him. I
through
was like,
here.
so
Yeah.
it appears my hip is jacked up.
That nasty one. Okay.
Yeah, if you get a chance to mix in that passive or active mobilization at the hand and wrist, that can really add to it, particularly in people who at first don't want to seem to let go. And it really encourages awareness of what's going through here if you have them move and mobilize through that.
Goodness, this girl does that way too much.
Straight up and take this hip.
You just grow old to be a baby again, so don't worry. You just grow old and then you become a baby again, so don't worry.
Yeah, man, of course I want to try. It's not yummy time, but it's just, that's what I can't get my wife to do enough. Step on me, baby.
I'd be like, no problem.
Yeah.
Whatever gets you comfortable.
How's it feel? So, very quickly, and we just started doing this. If you had a choice between like oiling up the person's forearms and sliding over the forearm flexors and then doing this, what would you prefer to do?
This.
I would prefer to have this done because it's so Rachel, just remind me that massage.
So here's the thing. If what is your name again?
Tori.
Corey?
Tori.
Tori.
Yeah.
Is it Tori?
Yes.
Okay.
It's really Victoria, but I go by
Yeah,
So if Tori comes in, the client says, "Hey, I have problems with my hands," and she dives right into this, what do they think, the clients?
What's wrong with her? She knows this.
I verbally coach the clients through what we're doing. And what I might say is, listen, if you're having problems with your arms and hands, I just took a class. I need 5 minutes to do this one thing with you. It's going to be a little bit different. It doesn't sometimes look like what people think massage is, but I want to see if this helps. They're totally willing to let you try something out for 5 minutes.
And that seems to be their general rule here is like as long as our clients aren't mad, as long as we
Yes.
communicate, they really don't care what
Yes.
we do as long as it's legal.
Now, what I have to do, both on your behalf and Steven's, is I have to create a situation where you not only can do what you want to do in session, but the clients go out and go, I got to see Tori next time. She did this amazing stuff on my arms. Shul knows that the training is worth it when that process happens. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
It's giving everybody value. The clients, in my experience, we have to teach them what massage is. We have to broaden their horizons beyond table, cream, glide, and nudity. Now, in the Austin area, how many facilities provide mat-based bodywork? Thai massage, shiatsu.
Not very many.
Why?
There's no market for it.
Really?
Yeah, but there is, but they just don't know how to market it.
Oh, really?
It's always been my problem. I've been doing Thai for 10 years.
Where I need to be. It feels effective. You can also come a little bit, but you're
So-
still there. You're still more effective.
My my last regular new client. The client that came in recently, within the last like 6 weeks, 2 months, she drives up in a Porsche. She works in commercial real estate. And because it's the end of the winter, she's like, hey, I need you to, I'm doing this session and I'm immediately flying out to Vail to go skiing. So she flies out to Whistler in British Columbia, and she flies out to Vail in Colorado to go skiing all through the winter. She drove up in a Porsche. She works in commercial real estate. I charge $240 a session. I finished the session. She absolutely loved it. She's like, can I book another one next week?
It's nice.
What do I say?
Yes. Sure.
Yes, you can in fact pay me $285 next week for the same thing. I would be happy to do work with you regularly. Exactly. But the thing is, the marketing and the packaging is different. And fundamentally, I'm not selling massage. That is one thing that, like, from a marketing perspective, screws things up for people. Because it's like, if you're not selling massage, like, what are we selling?
The bodywork.
Bodywork? Really? You work on cars?
That's what I'm saying. You don't have to. Use your foot.
I think my legs are a little tight or something.
Hips?
Because, yeah, I'm having
The
a hard-
rotation.
I'm having
So
a hard
use your
time.
foot or use your
I
forearm.
did use my foot.
Yeah.
It worked well.
Totally fine.
Yeah, but I'm
Totally
just saying
fine.
that.
Because everybody gets a tie.
We get, so instead of at the arch, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take the ball pad of your foot,
Okay.
and I want this part underneath. I want that part dead center in there.
Okay.
Because I think that's going to give you more leverage, and I think it's going to give you more play. You don't have to use this, probably. There you go. How does that feel on your foot?
It feels fine.
There you go.
But I can get more pressure on further back, right?
So here's where the challenge is. If you took your foot and went to the side, that's going to be sharper, right? Yeah.
Good.
Like, and it depends on the person. Like with him, he'll communicate. He's had my work, so he'll communicate with you and tell you which direction. From there, it's like what's most effective to him, and then secondly, what feels good to your body. Because if you did it the other way and you're like, that didn't really work for me, or my hips are tight, or something, this is a totally adequate way to do that.
But I can also move my foot up.
Oh yeah. You can do anything. Like,
This is just kind of more just, you want to warm it up and then you can step on it a little bit, see how that works for you.
Oh no.
yeah, I mean, you can take it.
Yeah, try stepping on it, see how it goes.
So bring that heel.
Maybe I was Spider-Man for a second and I was going to shoot something out. But it didn't happen.
Now lean. Oh,
Mark, you can't tell me what to do.
Totally fine. And heel, totally different structure, right? Now, how many times have you used your feet in session on a client?
be honest, Jerry, you were young.
Probably never.
Probably never. How long have you worked as a therapist?
30 years.
30 years. And this is what I'm dealing with in the massage industry. What I teach completely turns everything upside down. Massage therapists will get sessions with me and they either love it or they go, this is not massage. And I go, good, it's not massage. So I don't need a massage license. I don't have to hire licensed massage therapists, and I can open a facility right now with no license, and I can hire anyone I want.
But there's like a lack of legitimacy. Like,
Oh, really?
Of course, if you want.
You think effective bodywork has a lack of legitimacy?
and I don't. But like, how are you going to just hire someone off the street? Like, what if they don't know anything?
I will
about
train them.
about anatomy. Like, are you just going to train them?
No, I'm going to teach it to them.
Aren't there a lot of Asian places that don't really have a license also?
Yes.
So Robert,
They're
when I took
part
my
of
Thai
sting
class-
operation.
Wait, hold on. Wait, there's multiple conversations going here.
When I
What?
took my Thai class,
Yeah.
there was 4 massage therapists. There were 12 students total, and the rest of them were all yoga instructors.
Yep. And that's been the ongoing battle because I get phone calls and they go, well, I'm a yoga teacher. Can I do this? And I'm like, get a lawyer.
Yeah, and that was like 2005. And what they were told
All right.
was,
How is-
as
am
long
I
as you don't call
on
it
the inside
Thai
here
massage,
enough?
you can say Thai.
I mean, you're on
But just
stuff.
don't say massage.
So can I open a Thai yoga studio?
Technically, yes.
Okay.
Technically, yes.
Nice. So I can just hire anybody I want. It's Thai
I know,
yoga.
It's a problem.
Nice. Great. That sounds wonderful. And here's what my lawyer says.
No.
Oh my
He's
God.
like, Robert, I know you. You're trying to scale a business. He's like, danger. He's like, once there's enough money coming in, it's going to be major. And I go, okay, hold on. Like, because here's what I do. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm trying to find all the angles. And I go, I want to do this. And my lawyer says, you can't do that. It's illegal. He's, no prison. He's like, this is what I want to do. He's like, can't do that. It's illegal. And I go, I want to do this. And he's like, this? He's like, you can do that. And I'm like, oh. And that's where things get complex, right? Here's the other part. When you talk about the legitimacy, what are people searching for? Like when they're on Google, what keywords are they typing in?
Massage.
Do I show up for massage?
Yes, you do. You do. Like if I look for massage Austin, your name pops up all the time.
Why?
Probably because you're out there and you put yourself out
And
there.
you're a massage therapist?
We release a video a day on Facebook and YouTube.
You have a lot of traffic.
What does it look like in 10 years? Exactly, like
Legitimacy.
and that's the thing. It's like if we talked about, I'm trying to think of other like kinds of like stuff people have heard of. So for instance, even in the industry right now, why have Stretch Lab and Stretch Motion and these stretch facilities blossomed all of a sudden?
Because it's effective.
No one wants to do it themselves.
I mean, and the thing is, I've not had it, so I haven't had like a lot of feedback from their customers. One of the things that I noticed is once the stretch facilities started blossoming, Massage Envy added stretch service to their menu of services called Strato. It's their patented stretch service. Here's what I see. I think Massage Envy is the McDonald's of our industry.
Hey, thank you.
And what's happened to McDonald's recently in their business?
They're up in
They're
the
struggling.
They're struggling.
They're having to rebrand constantly.
Yeah.
Are you tingly?
A little bit.
Massage Envy is now me. It's
Yeah.
about me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. A different brand.
Massage Envy is now starting to replicate what McDonald's has done because McDonald's got away from delivering a really high quality, inexpensive burger, fry, and a drink.
They tried to get too fancy, and they've had to pare that back.
And they added salads, and they had weird coffee drinks to compete with Starbucks. Because in business terms, to me, they're playing defense. They're playing defense.
Yeah.
They're playing defense. I'm not a fan of playing defense in business. In business, you want to play offense. You want to go create the new service. You want to go do what Stretch Lab, Stretch Motion has done. Now, if I had gotten massage therapists and said, listen, we're going to open a stretch facility, would massage therapists have come on board?
Probably not,
Why?
because they're having a hard time envisioning that being, successful.
Fundamentally, I feel like therapists have been trained in a box to deliver massage. They're not being taught business and marketing in school, and they feel like they have to keep delivering the massage the way they were taught to do the massage in school. And meantime, what happens outside of this sort of thinking and outside of our industry? Here come the entrepreneurs from outside. Is Massage Envy owned by massage therapists?
No.
Is Soothe owned by massage therapists? Is Zeal owned by massage therapists?
What happened was some entrepreneur had a great massage, and they're like, I bet I could, wait.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it always comes from outside our industry.
Yeah.
Because massage therapists, when I try to go, come on, let's go, we can do this, they're like, oh, but this is work.
I remember in school, a lot of therapists didn't like the stretching stuff. Like they wouldn't incorporate it into their sessions.
Why?
Howard.
I don't know. I loved it. I could never understand it.
Well, there's so many years that I've heard But that's stretching, that's not massage. And I'm like, but you've gentle rocking rhythmic movement. You've got compression. There's all sorts of things. Because I moved here from Missouri.
Yeah.
And in Missouri, I actually did corporate tie tape mats.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take chairs or tables because
Yeah.
it worked better.
Yeah.
And it took forever there to get anybody to do it. And here, I haven't done a tie in 2 years, except
Yeah.
on my husband.
Yeah.
So this is great. I love
When you call it tie, there's a different set of parameters and there's a different set of expectations from the client.